Good evening and welcome to Monday Musings with Kelly Bonsall. That is me and my dear friend Joy, where we are just coming together to converse on whatever the muse puts in our minds and hearts and you know our realm, our field in the moment. Which tonight we have we're bringing up the idea of what is considered a waste of time, which is an interesting topic and has got me actually. So the way that this often works, just to give you sort of behind the scenes, those of you watching live, and welcome, and those of you who might catch this in the recording later on, we welcome you as well, is that usually early in the day on Mondays, either I or will have a thought of something that we want to talk about in the evening time, and we'll send that message. And sometimes it's like, yes, I was thinking the same thing. And sometimes it's okay. And today said this topic, and I'm like, And it just, all these feelings of what that means to waste time started like bouncing around. It was very interesting. And so it's been definitely kind of, I've been playing with it in my mind today. So I'm excited for this conversation. So hello, Uma.
Hello, it's good to be here. And it's an interesting topic, and I'll give a little background where it came from. I just want to acknowledge that we've got a couple people live with us. We would love for you to let us know. Hi, Greer. It's nice to have you here. And so welcome. And Guru Dharam, great. And so, yes, chime in anytime along. And so what was coming up for me, and there's times that pieces of this have shown up, and so where it came from, and then part of my process today is, if I look back, there have been periods of time in my life that it's like I don't stop. I was at the office, and then I'd come home and I'd be doing things in the evening. And then I was, also taking care of kids as they were growing up, and, fall into bed at 11 o'clock. And it wasn't that I wasn't playing and enjoying, because there was a tremendous amount of family time. But when I did something for me, that was really, really rare. And I noticed that often still happens now. And, one of the things that comes up for me periodically, okay, true disclosure here, sometimes I will just get on a complete roll on reading romance novels. It's my escape. I just totally zone into it. But there is that piece of me that wants to feel guilty because I'm wasting time. And it's like, what is that about? If it's giving me pleasure, and it doesn't mean that I believe that all life is about joy, but what is going on there? And so then this weekend, a craft thing came through my thought process, something that I don't usually just spend time on just being crafty anymore. It's like I've got work to do, and I enjoy that work. So anyway, I was doing that instead of, I could be making videos. I could be working on this painting. It's like, where does this come from? And so then after I put that out to you today, Kelly, it made me think, or it allowed me to think about it more. And so wasting time, time is precious, and we only have X amount of it. So the value that we place on time, and if I were to go out and lay in the grass and look at this, stars at night, and I'm enjoying that, that is not a waste of time. Now, someone else may view that and say, what are you out there wasting your time for? So it's a value judgment on what I think about it and how I'm spending my time and someone else. So is this then coming from, the critic and that value judgment, or, where is it all coming from?
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
pass it to you for a minute, and I'm sure I'll have some more to say
Yeah.
in a few minutes. But I also invite the rest of you to put it in the chat what you think too. But go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so when we were texting today, and I said, interesting, because for like that phrase, like wasting time, like it just like I was like, yuck, like ew, like just the words put together, like just made me feel, and then so I was like, it just was so interesting coming from you, because usually like our inquiries are really like beautifully, like the language, even if it's something hard, there's like a beauty to it. You know what I'm saying? Like just in the words when I read them, like in the type. And so I was like, and then, I was like, why did that rub me like that? So then I kept, kind of responding and clarifying, like, well, here's what I'm feeling, and here's what I'm, why I wasn't like, yeah, that sounds great, and then you said something about, well, by whose standards, are you? Because I said something that, I'm afraid that I'm going to look in, and some of the things that I've been concerned about the way I spend my time, I'm going to feel those come to light, and then it's like, oh, well, now I know that I'm wasting time and I have to do something about it. I don't want to do anything about it. I like my shows that I watch at night or whatever it is. And but then you said by whose standards, and then I started to really think about that. And then I really went into this role. I'm like, well, is anything really a waste of time? Like it's what we're doing, and it's that perfect moment, present moment, and it is what it is. And can it truly is there even such thing as a waste of time? So that I went like all the way there.
Yeah.
And then like hearing you talk about the stars, like when I think about laying under the stars, for me, that's definitely not a waste of time. Like that's such a beautiful use of your time. But then when I think about like watching TV, I think of that as a waste of time. So it's like, but who's the critic, and like what's that, that messaging going there? But I'm reading Greer's comment.
And I agree, Greer, that this should all over yourself. Quit shouldn't on yourself. And that was a phrase that did come through to me today. It's like, so if I am questioning that something is a waste of time, it is implying that I should be doing something else. And so again, by whose standards should I be doing something else? Whose voice is back there telling me? And if it's my own, well, where did I learn that? Because, I don't have to do. And it's okay. But I can pick times that I've been doing something, reading a romance novel, and someone in the household, whether it's present or, past or whatever, it's like, oh, she's reading again. It's like, so if I'm reading Ram Dass, is that okay? And I love reading Ram Dass. So whose judgment is saying what it's okay to, if I'm gaining something that feeds my soul, my heart, my joy, it's not a waste of time unless I am telling myself it's a waste of my time. And then why would I be saying that? I'm doing it. And, I actually had a conversation about this an hour ago when I was talking with a girlfriend that we talk every Monday night. And whoops, I just lost my train of thought. Go ahead, back to you, and I'll come back with that in a minute.
Okay. Well, I was thinking, so if there isn't, I feel like there's ways that we spend our time that are harmful to us or to other people. I've shared, in our conversations here, that I have been on this journey of recovery from alcohol use. And, when I think back to like time spent drinking, there's like a harm. But like then when I think, was it a waste of time? I mean, it's something else entirely, and so it's almost like that's the only thing I can really think that there's a reason to be critical of how you're spending your time, is when you're doing harm to yourself or to someone else. But I don't know that I would call that like a waste of time. Like, I think it's a different thing entirely. So, it comes back to like, is there such thing as wasting time? And even when there's something harmful, I mean, is there a lesson to be learned? Is there something that's going to like transform, or I don't know. I mean, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the things, and I just did come back to that, and then I'll address Guru Dharam's comment here. And that is, if we are doing something and resenting it, that's to me a waste of time. Now, if the activity is something that I want to do or it needs to be done, then the situation becomes change the attitude. And that's my work, to be with it in gratitude. Can I sing with it? Can I be joyful with it? Or can I at least be in acceptance that that's what I'm choosing to do, and do it without resentment? Doing an activity with resentment seems like a waste of good energy, good time. So that's,
Yeah.
And Guru Dharam said, Sweekin, the words that came through were befriending resistance. And yeah, I like that. And you like the romance Netflix too. There you go. Yeah. So
befriending resistance.
Befriending resistance.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a good terminology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So can we be in the space that we accept who and what we are? I listened to a Ram Dass talk this weekend, and it was about loving yourself. But what he did with it is made a complete thing. It's not about loving yourself. It's about accepting yourself. And, the good, the bad, the ugly. And he used the example, how he was, this good person and benevolent and all of these wonderful, wonderful qualities. And that's what he put out. He said, and then it was like, I'm not always that way. Sometimes I'm angry and petulant and all of this stuff. But I was showing how I was this. He goes, and that wasn't the truth. It was a lie. And it separated me from others because I wasn't living my truth. And so the reality is, can we accept who and where we are? And that comes up for me in this conversation right now. So whatever I'm doing, if I think I should be doing something different, can I be accepting of this is what I want to do instead? And this is what I am choosing to do right now. And can I accept that that's okay? Because the other thing that he said about this, and I had heard this part when it was the movie Becoming Nobody, and he talked about his unembodied friend, Emmanuel. And it's like, well, Emmanuel, what am I doing in this life? And, what's the purpose and whatever? And Emmanuel said, you are in this life. Why don't you try taking the curriculum, being human? And so, we try this whole thing about being perfect and what is perfect. But the reality is we are still in a human body doing the best we can. And it's going to have the ups and downs and ins and outs and upside downs, I mean, all of this stuff. And that's part of a human life.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Sometimes not doing too much is an important pause necessary to reflect on where you are heading. Very, very true. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what I think about is like what's going on in my mind is like just having this like reflection and awareness of like that I'm choosing to read this book and this is what I want to do, or and there's so much about like being in recovery that's come up of like sitting in the discomfort, like feeling the discomfort, not looking for another way to escape whatever it is, like, overdoing, people get busy or people do this or that, because they just, and so part of me is thinking like, well then if we show up in whatever activity and we're aware that like we're choosing this, or this is part of being human, or this is, and that if it's not like a mindless way of being. But then I also think about sorry. Anyway, so like mindlessness, and is that something that might be necessary to you? And let you speak while my dog barks.
Okay, so hi Charlie. That happens. And so in the mindlessness, so there's, I'm going to say that there's a part of what is coming up with that, and with a sense of recovery that you've been working with, which I honor and applaud you and love you and support you. And we all do the best we can. And so there's parts of it that I don't know the answers of what someone is going through in that realm. And so mindlessness, I will say that there's times, it's like, well, on my romance novels, am I just wanting to be mindless? Well, I don't know if that's true. Is it destructive? I don't think so. And is it giving me joy and, just something that on a one hand I can say, yeah, it's an escape, and on the other hand I can say, and I'm getting joy out of it. And so is that a bad thing? No, I'm not going to say that it is. If I am not wanting to face what's going on, and I am going to engage in addictive behavior that is destructive, well, one could say that's where I am right now. And then do we look at it and say, is this where I want to go? Or do I want to make a different choice? And so that's, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, just like when I started, I was saying, I don't know if we can even waste time. Like, isn't every moment kind of leading us to the next moment? It's the same thing with mindlessness. Like, can we really be, like I was trying to think of an activity that is truly just being mindless, like just escape. So I was like thinking about like scrolling through social media, but then I like go through like two paths with that. It's like I'm either like really inspired by what I'm seeing, and I've kind of curated whatever my social media, where it's like people that I'm really admiring and things that are happening that, or I'm in the mindset of like, comparing myself, and nobody liked my post, and blah, 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 and so either way, while I think that I'm just like wasting time mindlessly scrolling through Instagram or whatever, it's not mindless, and it's teaching me something about myself. I mean, whether, and then like you said, you make the choice, like, is this causing me more joy or more harm? Am I loving all these quotes and all of the affirmations that I'm reading and the articles that I'm finding, and is it really like filling me with joy, even if it's not necessary for my life, scope? Or is it causing me pain and all the things? So I can't think of something, even though I brought that up, that's truly just a mindless activity. And it doesn't mean that it has to be hard, and like Greer said, like it can be a pause. It could be making a little Zentangle drawing and just, or like the neurographic, it doesn't take a lot of brain power, but there's something that's moving and happening. And with the reading the romance novels, I read books that I'm learning a lot, and I read stuff that's like, it's just nice and it's easy.
Want to take a break. My brain wants to rest for a moment.
Right. Or fantasize, or just be in another world. Like, I think the shows that I choose to watch, that sometimes I'm like, I'm just sitting here watching TV, but I'm like, I'm in another place, and it's kind of nice to go there for a little while.
Yeah. And maybe that's part of the thing too, is it excessive? And does it prevent you from doing other things that you are wanting to do? That was one of the things that my friend was bringing up today. It's like, well, if you've got goals that you want to do, can you do something on them? And then the rest of the time it's, working on that. Now, in truth, she also said, when I used the example of laying on the grass and looking at it, she goes, oh my gosh, I can't think of anything worse than you tying me down and making me lay in the grass and look up at the stars. I couldn't do that. And it's like, and that's the deal, is we all have different values and things that feed our heart and soul. And taking a break, resting in whatever way, in creating activity in whatever way. And for me, what keeps coming back is the whole thing of accepting that this is where I am. And if it's not where I want to stay, then I can cultivate that.
Right.
But it's accepting that I am who I am, and I am doing what I am doing.
Yeah.
And looking at it, does it feed my heart, my soul, my mind in a way that I am happy with?
Yeah. I think the reason that I was sort of repulsed at the idea of talking about wasting time, I just feel like that concept is too mundane for like who we are as like beings of light and love. I just think that like that's just something that like so I don't know who said that, right? And there are all these things to contemplate and consider with how we're using this life and being here and showing up, but that phrase just doesn't, it's not good enough.
I love that it triggered it for us,
Yeah.
And gave, it's like giving pause to reflect on where we are, where we're headed. I like what you said there, Greer. And acknowledging a couple other people have joined us. If you want to type in who you are, we'd love to say hi. And so we're just getting ready to wrap up our conversation on who said it's wasting time and by whose standards. And and this Thursday we'll continue our discovery deck. We're in the middle of the month. Each month we'll be doing a new theme. This month we're on transformation and growth, and we're making like oracle decks. And so we've done 2 of the 4 on transformation, and then in May we'll have a new theme. We'll see what the muse brings forward, and we'll see what the theme is at that point.
Yes, and it's been very fun, and we'll post some of what we've been making here in on our page. You can see what's being created. Yeah.
All right. And then otherwise, I'll just also mention again that this Friday night is Prismatic Awakening, where I'm doing a call on Friday evening, 7:00 Mountain Time. And we're going over different processes that we're learning in Prisma, which is a course with intentional creativity through Shiloh Sophia, our dear friend, mentor, teacher, and bringing intentional creativity into the healing and coaching process. And so the first and third Fridays of each month, I'm doing a call that sharing with some of those techniques for whoever shows up, and we'll make sure that it's in the chat and on this page. If you want to join us, you are welcome. You can come one or as many times as you want, and we'll give that information in the chat. So jumped on at a good time as I doodle. Hi, Stacy. Mindful or mindlessly? There you go. Wanted some me self-care time, and so that's the thing too. Is how do we what's the word I want? How do we want to frame it? What's the framework we want to put around what we're doing? Quote, mindless doodling. Well, is it really mindless? That's some self-care time too. So that's a great comment, Stacey. Thank you.
Or does mindless really mean like heartful, or spiritful, or like that you're dropping into another system that's guiding you? I think about that a lot when I use the word like mindfulness, which is beautiful and important. And I sometimes just, when we're not there, maybe you're existing somewhere else that we need to be.
Maybe we should be in heartfulness instead of mindfulness.
Yes.
Aware of what we're doing, but feel what we're doing too.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us live. And those of you who catch us on the replay here, it's lovely to have so many people commenting and joining us in the chat and giving us your thoughts and feelings too. And relax and quantum fieldness. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Kelly, it's always good to be with you.
Love too.
And
love you.
On Thursday night. And peace and blessings to all of you. Peace and blessings to this world. And may compassion fill all beings. May people open their hearts and realize that we're all in this together. May there be healing in this world. Peace and blessings. Much love to all.
Love.